What would you do with unlimited wealth? Bribe FIFA to give the World Cup bid to the Shetland Islands? Or buy the whole production of JLS dolls, melt them down into a burning, scalding mass, and then, using the element of surprise, dumping it on the panel of judges at X Factor? The possibilities for universal good are endless. One of the richest men of his generation was a man named Thomas Coutts, who founded the Coutts Bank. Now, when he and his wife died, they left their entire fortune of around about £3 million to their granddaughter, Angela Burdett-Coutts, who then became the richest woman in Britain, richer than Queen Victoria. Now, in those days, as a woman, if you were very rich, when you married, your entire fortune not only became owned by your partner, but he made all the decisions regarding it. Now, Angela knew this, and knew also that plenty of these guys who were chasing her were only after her money. So she made a decision to stay single and instead to spend vast amounts of money on bettering the lives of those around her. Now remember, in those days there was no such thing as government-sponsored buildings or programs, hospitals, schools, job centres. In fact, the first state-run school was opened in 1870. That was years after Germany and France. So if you were poor, you were left to fend for yourself. Now, Angela Burdett-Coutts was introduced to East End poverty by her good friend Charles Dickens. Yes, the same Charles Dickens who dedicated the book Martin Chuzzlewit to her. And when she saw the plight of these guys around her, she immediately went to work. Soup kitchens, ragged schools, a home for girls trying to get out of the sex trade with Charles Dickens. He kept promising them starring roles in his next novel. No, just kidding. It wasn't a sex trade with him, he helped found the school. And two big building projects that centred around an area of East London called Nova Scotia Gardens, which was a hellhole of a place, basically a huge rubbish dump. She built a 5-storey block of flats instead in the area that provided well-ventilated, healthy, cheap housing for poor tenants. She also tried to organise the trading in the area by getting vendors off the streets into a centralised zone that she called Columbia Markets. Unfortunately, these sellers took objection to the rules of having to turn up sober, be polite, avoid swearing and spitting, and eventually ended up back out in the streets, so that idea never really took off. But Angela Burdett-Coutts' good works weren't just limited to the East End. She was involved in the establishment of the NSPCC, the RSPCA. She funded lifeboats in Brittany, helped Turkish peasants in the Russian-Turkish War, built drinking fountains for dogs, funded the first archaeological survey of Jerusalem, and helped the indigenous people of Australia, Borneo and Nigeria. But today, the only thing that remains to be seen of Angela Burdett-Coutts' work here in the East End after years of extensive bombing in the Second World War is this drinking fountain found here in Victoria Park. It was built to provide clean drinking water for the surrounding poor in the effort to fight cholera and other diseases. But between you and me, I think I'd rather chance a drink straight from the tap at my local Wetherspoons than have a go on that thing these days. When Angela died at the beginning of the 20th century, she'd given away nearly £3 million out of her vast inheritance. But her life did provide one little twist. At the age of 67, she eventually gave in to years of pestering from potential suitors and married an American, 40 years her junior. Get in. Some tell tales, others rhyme, but I sing songs from the Howling Sea.
If you're wondering what on earth you just witnessed, you've been watching a video from the Songs from the Howling Sea podcast. Each week I release a song and a video about a person or a subject from London's East End. 52 songs in 52 weeks. For more, visit www.songsfromthehowlingsea.com.